Thank you, Michael. And as I whispered to Michael when I sat down here, warning to all panelists, underneath this tablecloth is one of those gridded tables. So it's got high potential for spillage. So you've been warned. Michael, once again, thank you for inviting me here. We've done a number of these events over the years, and it's always a real pleasure to be able to be part of this unveiling of new innovations. And I think what's particularly interesting and exciting about today is not only the individual innovations themselves, the individual innovations in risk management, but the innovative way in which you're combining them. And I think that's really going to be a subject of a lot of the discussion today. And I think from our perspective, how many people here have heard of Mark Green's vision for a journey to self-reliance? So, it could be dismissed as wordplay, as just a sort of something he says from time to time, but actually it's a pretty profound concept. And it's actually asking us to not only pursue development outcomes and help achieve development outcomes, but to do so by building the commitment and capacity of the countries we work with, and not just governments, but private sector and communities themselves and civil society. And so I think a critical next step that I hope is part of this conversation is how we leap from the research and innovation to actually getting this out there, because it's innovations like this that are not only critical to accelerating progress on the journey to self-reliance, but protecting that progress. And I think that's a critical contribution that this research makes. Michael, last time he was here, floated a concept by me. He called it Resilience Plus, and it actually is featured in some of the write-ups on this work. And I think that's actually fundamentally important too, because as the word resilience and the concept of resilience has been elevated in development discourse, as it's being elevated in our agency through the creation of a Bureau for Resilience and Food Security, there's a great danger that the concept is simply used in a grand relabeling exercise, that we reduced poverty, oh, that's resilience. We've increased yields, that's resilience. Actually, no, those are development outcomes. Resilience is not a development outcome. It's the ability to mitigate, adapt to, and recover from shocks and stresses in ways that protect those development outcomes, speed recovery, or prevent people from backsliding. So it's critically important to distinguish between that capacity, that ability to absorb and recover from shocks, and the second need to accelerate people's progress out of poverty, because it's not enough to simply have people bounce back to their prior state of vulnerability. In fact, it's not enough for people to bounce back to that state and be resilient. We actually need to accelerate progress out of poverty in a sustainable way, given the really complex risk environments in which we work. So that requires households and communities and countries to be resilient, but resilience is not enough. And that's why I like this concept of plus, because resilience is key, given the complex risk environments in which we work, but we've got to combine that with efforts that are also accelerating growth, accelerating progress on the journey to self-reliance. So we as a Bureau, as we begin to reimagine ourselves as the Bureau for Resilience and Food Security, it's all about accelerating and protecting progress on the journey to self-reliance. Resilience is a key portion of that, but so is agricultural-led growth, so is water security, sanitation, and hygiene, and so is nutrition, a multi-sectoral view of nutrition. So with that said, I welcome you all this morning. As Michael said, I'll have to step out for a few minutes, but I'll come back this afternoon. I'm really looking forward to the conversation. There is a really, really great 6-page brief on this work that really captures the essence of what they've done here. And in particular, there's a graphic on page 3, I believe, that shows the impact, looking at a control group, each innovation independently, but then the multiplicative result. What happens when you combine drought-tolerant seeds with innovations in index insurance to get that multiplicative result, which in fact is resilience, bouncing back, but resilience plus, accelerating the way forward. So I wish you a hearty debate, a hearty discussion. Michael's events are always great, so I have no doubt this one will be as well. And I'll see you later in the morning, and thanks for having me here, Michael.